everyone, this is Chelsea, and today I'm going to be working in my large Dylusions journal. I haven't worked in this for quite a long time, so I'm excited to get some pages done in here. I'm going to start off with putting some wax paper just in between my pages so that I'm not getting paint. You can see the page I'm working on is pretty messy, and that's from all the other mediums leaking through from my other pages as I was creating. So I'm going to try and help that a little bit. That won't help the spine, but that'll help the leakage over the edge. So I'm going to start out with some black paint, and I'm just going to cover the background. I'm not gessoing first. I could. It would probably save me a little bit of paint, but it's inexpensive craft paint. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a nice quick layer of this on, and then I'll be back. So now my page is dry. Well, pretty much. There's a couple little damp areas, but dry enough that I can move on to the next step. One thing I like about using the black paint is the craft paint is it's matte, so when it dries you got a nice matte surface to work on. I'm going to use some texture paste. This is just a nice cheap brand. You can also use like wall putty or modeling paste or molding paste, whatever you have that's dimensional. And I'm going to use a Prima stencil here. And I kind of want this design to carry across my pages, but I don't want to add any right in the spine because it will get chipped away or affect the book from closing properly. So I'm going to try and just kind of do this on an angle. I'm not going to use the whole thing, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so there's the first page worth, and I'm going to try and I think I'll clean this off first, and then I'll try and reapply it to the other page and maybe rotate it a little bit so I'm getting a little bit different image. I have dried the page almost completely. These really thick parts here are not dry yet just because they are super thick, and I did put quite a bit of paste on there. So as long as it's somewhat dry, I think this should work fine. I guess we'll find out. I'm hoping that it won't affect it too much. But next step is I'm going to take some Dylusions ink sprays, and I'm going to spray these over top. And there's a couple reasons why I'm using Dylusions. First of all, I love the bright colors, but second of all, it has no shimmer in it. So any spray that doesn't have a shimmer in it, or one that you make yourself, would work, that as long as you don't put any shimmer in it. The distress stain sprays, those kinds of things, because we're going to spray right over top of the black, and because if you have any shimmer in it, that's going to show up, but these don't. So I'm just going to add a little bit to the centers of my flowers here. And I did have to go through, I haven't used these sprays in quite a while, so I did have to go through and kind of get some of the sprayers working again. It's mostly just because I didn't wash off the nozzle part when I was putting them away last time, so. And some of these are getting kind of empty. I'll do that over here. So they aren't spraying as good as they usually do just because the mist in them is getting quite low. So you can see where the yellow and the pink mix, I'm getting orange, which is totally fine. I think I might create some flowers that are mostly yellow. And I have a little bit of cherry pie. This is kind of a red color. Those are leaves. I'm trying to discern between what's what are flowers and what are leaves, which is not the easiest. I'm just going to blot my spine here, so hopefully not too much is sinking through. Now I might end up with a little bit of brown leaves because I'm going to add green to this area where all the leaves are, so we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I'm going to try and use a more lemony green, maybe that'll help. I think it's time for me to restock my Dylusions. They're not spraying so good because I'm almost out of a lot of these colors. I do use these quite a bit. So put some green down there in the corner. Just going to blot some of these areas that are really wet and lift my excess color. I love how that looks because it disappears on the black paint. So you have these bright, beautiful flowers, and then you still have that really nice, stark black background, which is awesome. Every time I'm daubing, I am switching to a new side of my paper towel so that I'm not spreading the same color everywhere. I'm gonna try just adding a little bit darker green. Bumped the camera, sorry guys. So I'm just gonna go back and touch up in a few areas, add a little bit more yellow back in. My yellow kind of got overtaken by all the colors I added afterwards. So now I'm getting that really pretty orange where it's mixing with the pink. So I'm just gonna dry this up and then figure out what my next step is gonna be. My page is pretty much dry. There's a couple of wet areas still left on here, but I think it's dry enough that I can keep going. So what I'm gonna do is I have this Tim Holtz stamp. It says, "Every possibility begins with the courage to imagine." So I'm gonna stamp that over in this area right here. And I want to use a gold ink, and all I have for gold is this Color Box pigment ink pad. And it's been pretty well used, so I'm hoping it has enough ink left in it to stamp a good image. What I'm gonna do is just put a block, this is one of the Tim Holtz grid blocks, behind where I'm going to stamp, so hopefully I get a good impression that way. And then when I ink this up, I'm just gonna really push the ink on there. I could maybe use gold paint, which I might have to do if this doesn't work, but we shall see. So I've got that inked up there. Put it right about there, and then I'm just gonna give it really good pressure. Yay! It's always nice when it actually works. Especially when it's one of your last steps for your page. And then I think I'm going to take some more of that gold. Just going to see if my details will pick it up. Not really. I'm going to get something different for that. But I'm going to pounce a sponge here in my gold and just take this around my edges. Just to kind of frame my page. I do this on a lot of my pages, go around the edge. And not just my pages, if I'm doing canvases and things like that too, I'll do the same thing because I like it to be framed. I like the way it looks. So, and this gold ink, because it is a pigment ink, it is going to take longer to dry. But that's fine because my page is pretty much done. So then it can just lay out and dry. Alright, so now I'm just going to take a little bit of Inca Gold here in the gold color. And I'm just about down to the end of my pan here, so I've had to add a little bit of water to get it to flow. And I'm just going to add gold to a few of these, mostly to the centers I think, because that's the widest area. Just to bring in a little bit more of that metallic that's around the edges. And I really don't want to press hard on those centers because they are not fully dry yet. Okay. I think that's everything that I'm going to add to this page. I don't think that you can really catch the metallic shimmer on camera as you can see it in person. But those are my finished pages. Lots of texture, lots of nice bright colors. I hope you enjoyed this and learned a few things, and I'll see you next time. Bye.